Hello again. I'm going to see if we can get through Act 2, Scene 3 today. I don't know if the other two scenes from this act will be today or tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Okay, so Romeo is off to see Friar Lawrence to ask him to perform the wedding ceremony between him and Juliet. And we get there. You will notice, if you haven't noticed already, sometimes they tell you like what time of day it is based upon what the characters are saying. And that's because, as it explained in the tour of the Globe Theater, all of the plays were performed in the daytime, like in the afternoons. So they wouldn't have had lighting to tell you that it was daytime or nighttime. So we are on page 1, and Friar Lawrence says, "The gray-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checking the eastern clouds with streaks of light, and fleckled darkness like a drunkard reels from forth day's path and Titan's fiery wheels." So it's just barely daybreak. It's like dawn. At the beginning of this scene, Friar is having his own soliloquy. Here's our magic word, soliloquy again. Character on the stage by themselves, speaking aloud, thinking out loud. And the friar is talking about all of, my nose is still itchy, all of the medicines that he can develop from plants. And they do this because it's foreshadowing. I'm not going to tell you what it's foreshadowing because that's one of the questions I want you to answer, but obviously it's important or they wouldn't have done it. So, okay. He says there are, when we suck on the natural bosom of the earth, we find many for many, virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. Ah, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in herbs, plants, stones, and their true qualities, for naught so vile on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Okay. Okay, and then Romeo comes in, the friar's still talking, and he says, "Within the infant rind of this small flower, poison hath residence, and medicine power. For this being smelt, so if you smell the flower, it makes you feel better, cheers each part, but being tasted, stays all senses with the heart. So either kills you or make it appears as if you were dead, because it like puts you into a coma." Okay. And then Romeo comes in and says, "Good morrow, Father." Friar Lawrence says, "Why are you up so early?" "Oh, you either haven't been asleep, like because you've been worried or something," or he says, "Or if not so, then here I hit it right, our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight." And Friar said, "God, pardon sin, wast thou with Rosaline?" So he thinks Romeo's been doing bad things overnight. That's why he hasn't been in bed. And of course, everybody still thinks that it's Rosaline that Romeo's got the hots for, because the thing with Juliet just happened overnight. Romeo, again, not answering questions directly. I'm on page 2, by the way. He says he's been feasting with his enemy. He's been wounded by someone, one of his enemy, who's also been wounded by him. Both are remedies within thy help and holy physic lies. So he says, you can help us, you can heal our wounds. And the wounds he's talking about is like they've been struck by Cupid's arrows, so they're in love. And Friar Lawrence says, "Be plain, good son, just tell me what you want." Page 3 now. Romeo says, "My heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine, and all combined, save what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed, and made exchange of vow, I'll tell thee as we pass. But this I pray, that thou consents to marry us today. So Romeo says, I've met Juliet. I've fallen in love with her. She's in love with me. Two, I'll give you the details later, but the important thing is you need to agree to marry us right now. And Friar Lawrence is like really shocked and honestly kind of angry with Romeo because Romeo was just in love with Rosaline yesterday. And he says that he can like see the track of a tear that Romeo cried over Rosaline still that hasn't even dried on his cheek. Of course, this isn't literally true. And he says that Romeo's too changeable. He changes his mind too fast. He's too impulsive. Foreshadowing. And Romeo says, but wait, you yelled at me all the time for loving Rosaline. And Friar says, for doting, not for loving, people mind. So for having a crush on her, not for loving her, because the friar doesn't think that Romeo's love for Rosaline was true love. It was like a crush. It was lust. Romeo said, and badest me bury love, still on page 3, which is like, and told me to quit loving her. Friar Lawrence says, yes, bury your love, but not in a grave to lay one in, another out to have. And now I'm on page 4. Okay, Romeo says, it's different here because Juliet loves me back. Yes, that's important. Okay, so Friar Lawrence says, but come, young waverer. So he originally wasn't going to marry them because he thought that Romeo's love wasn't true. It was too closely followed by Romeo's love for Rosaline. But Friar says, in one respect I'll thy assistant be, for this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household rancor to pure love. So Friar says, okay, I will marry you because I believe it will end the hatred between the two families, which is a bad thing. But one of the questions I'm going to ask you is about the nature of this decision. Was it the right decision? And is doing something that may be right or wrong for a good reason still, does that make it a good thing to do? So, okay, and then Romeo says, oh, let us hence, I stand on sudden haste, so hurry up. Friar Lawrence says, wisely and slow they stumble that run fast. So slow your roll is what that means. So he has agreed to marry them. And Romeo is supposed to get word to Juliet by 9 o'clock this morning. So things are rolling really fast. I'm going to post this, and I probably have time, so I'll at least do the next scene, which is 4. So Romeo has been to see the friar to arrange the wedding, and now he has to get word to Juliet. And Juliet's most trusted confidant, like the person that she trusts most in the world, is the nurse. So the nurse is the one who's Romeo is going to see to deliver this message.